Hi everybody, it's Terry with Crafty Book Nerd, and it's that time of the month again. Today we're going to talk about the books I read in March. I'm actually going to do this one in two parts. The first part are going to be the actual physical books that I either own or got from the library, and the second part will be the Kindle books that I read on with ebooks. So grab your favorite drink, settle in your favorite spot, and let's talk about what I read in March. The first book I want to talk about today is The Bandit Queens by Pernara Schroff. I picked this one up kind of on a whim because I had seen someone else on YouTube talk about it, and I thought, ooh, let me check it out. So I did. It's a story about Greta, and Greta has been accused of killing her husband. He has disappeared, and everybody thinks that she has done away with him, but she adamantly denies it. However, the fact that the Indian community she lives in thinks that she did kill him gives her an advantage in her community. People are leery of her. They don't want to mess with her. However, she's faced with a dilemma because there are some women in the community who are having problems with their husband, and they thought, hey, Greta got rid of hers, can she help us get rid of ours? And so there's several women that come to her, and that's kind of where the story goes from there. And she talks about someone called the Bandit Queen, and the Bandit Queen was Greta's role model. And the Bandit Queen was a woman who lived in the late 20th century who took revenge on all her male abusers. And she is the one who became Greta's role model. So this story has some dark humor in it. It's about morals, the morals that you have, the decisions that you make based on those morals. It's about women fighting for their rights, which in India, they don't have many rights. And so this was kind of touching on some of that. I enjoyed the premise of the story. I felt bad for the women who were in the abusive relationships and didn't have a lot of choices that they could make to get out of them. However, part of the story was lost to me because of the vocabulary. There were a lot of Indian words. There were a lot of references to things in the community that I did not really understand, and that might have changed, how I felt about it. But the overall premise of the story, I really enjoyed, and I did give this one 3 stars. And here's my quote from the Bandit Queens. Before I was married, I thought the sound of bangles jangling on my forearms would be delightful. I looked forward to being able to wear bells around my ankles and silver necklaces around my neck. But not anymore, not since I had learned what they represented for the man who gave them to me. A necklace was no prettier than a piece of rope that ties a goat to a tree, depriving it of freedom. So, a solid read, 3 stars. The next book I read was my book club pick, and that was Tomorrow, Tomorrow, and Tomorrow. And it also meets the Pop Sugar challenge of having alliteration in the title. I wasn't too sure about this one because it is marked as a romance, and I don't read a lot of romance. And it's also about the gaming world, the video gaming world, which I'm not really that interested in. But I must say that I did enjoy it. It's about 2 friends, Sam and Sadie, and they meet in a hospital when Sam is in there because he's had an accident. And Sadie keeps him company during that time. However, she has a secret of why she's there that you'll learn about later in the book. But this book spans 30 years of their friendship, and they come together to create video games. It's a story of their friendship. It's a story of love. It's a story of finding one's identity. And through the process of creating the video game, Sam and Sadie discover themselves. And it's a story about what we all crave, and that's love. We all crave giving love. We want to give love to people, and we want to get love to people. Kind of reminds me of the quote from Moulin Rouge that says, the greatest gift you'll ever know is to love and be loved in return. And this kind of gave me that vibe. So even though it was a love story, I really became vested in Sadie and Sam's story. Didn't care so much about the technical stuff with all the video games, but it was interesting to follow them on their journey and to see what happened to them. So I did get through it, and I did enjoy it, like I said, more than I thought. And my quote is, "What is a game?" Mark said. "It's tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow. It's the possibility of infinite rebirth and infinite redemption. The idea that if you keep playing, you could win. No loss is permanent because nothing is permanent ever. And if you've ever played a video game, I think you can relate. I know I can. There are some games that I've been playing for years, and you die in the game, but you get to come back and try again and do something different and keep learning from your mistakes. So it was pretty good, and I did end up giving this one 4 stars. Whoops, sorry about that. Dropped the book. The next one, The Soulmate by Sally Hepworth. I was really excited about this one. I've read some other books by this author that I really enjoyed. And this was the book of the month that I picked. This book, like I said, is by Sally Hepworth, and I enjoyed her book called The Good Sister and the Younger Wife. And so I wanted to read this one, and it did not disappoint. This is a story about two couples who are supposedly in perfect marriages. But we discover that both of these couples have secrets, and that the 4 of them, the 2 different couples, are connected. The story is told from Pippa's view, and Pippa is one of the spouses in one of the marriages. And what's going on with Pippa right now, present time, and then it also looks at what was going on in the past. So we see the 2 different viewpoints from her. And she is married to Gabe and has 2 daughters. And then the other part of the story is Amanda, and she is the wife of the other man in this story. And it also talks about, she goes back to then, the past, and her now is after she's dead, which is interesting. We have a dead character telling part of this story, and that was kind of an interesting twist that I did enjoy it. But we get to see her thoughts on things that happened that she's thinking after she is dead. Pippa and Gabe have bought this dream house. However, it's on these cliffs, and these cliffs are very dangerous, and they come to find out that a lot of people go here to commit suicide. And Gabe has saved a lot of people because he's there, he sees the people, he goes out, and he's usually able to talk them down. Well, when Amanda comes to the cliffs and he goes out there, something transpires between them. And we don't know, did she jump? Did she fall, or was she pushed? This story will take you on twists and turns and surprises. I think I finished it in 2 days. I had to find out what really happened to Amanda and how the other lady, Pippa, and her husband and Amanda's husband, and how they were all connected and what happened with the story. So the 2 different timelines were fun, and I like dual timelines in books, so that was right up my alley. So there was one thing that I didn't care for, and that is why I only gave it a 4 star, is I wasn't really crazy about the ending. So if you read this, I'd love to know your thoughts on the ending of this book, and let me know what you think. So that was The Soulmate. The next one is a book recommended by a friend, and this was recommended by my friend, Lucy. And this is called The Housemaid by Frida McFadden. This follows the Pop Sugar Challenge of a forbidden romance. This is a story about Nina and Andrew, and they seem to have the perfect life, kind of a little bit like in the Soulmate book. And they have a daughter, Cecilia. Nina hires Millie to do some cleaning, cooking, and caregiving of Cecilia. And Millie's room is in the attic, which Millie thinks is kind of strange, but that's where her room is. And she dreams of taking over Nina's life because she is attracted to Nina's husband, Andrew. And she thinks, man, this is the life I want. See if I can wiggle my way in here. However, Millie has a past that she does not want anyone to discover. And as things move along in the story with some different little twists and surprises, Millie soon learns that Nina's perfect life isn't so perfect. And we learn that both women are hiding something, and they're plotting something, and they're both looking for a way out. It is a cat and mouse game. I couldn't put it down. It was another one I read in a couple days. I think that's why I read so many books this month. I think I read 10 books this month because several of them I read in a couple days. So you need to check this one out. I gave it a 4-star. Thanks, Lucy, for the recommendation. And the great part is that there's going to be a second book called The Housemaid's Secret, also by Frida McFadden. And I will definitely read that one because I did enjoy this one. And I have a quote from this one. I initially wanted to hire a maid in hopes that she would become my replacement, that if Andrew fell in love with another woman, he would finally let me go. But that's not why I hired Millie. That's not why I gave her a copy of The Key to the Room. And that's not why I left a bottle of pepper spray in the blue bucket in the closet. I hired her to kill him. She just doesn't know it yet. It's a good one. Pick it up. Always in March is middle grade March, and so I always try to read at least one middle grade book. I would have liked to read more, but I was only able to read one this month, and this one was recommended by somebody I follow on YouTube, and it's called A Rover's Story by Jasmine Wargo, and this is the one that I picked for middle grade March. This is about a rover robot, and he ends up getting the name of Resilience, and they just call him Res for short. And his task is to go to Mars and retrieve data. And there's also another rover that they need to rescue from Mars, one that has broken down and they want it brought back. So Res goes to Mars to retrieve data, and he has a little friend with him who is Fly, a friendly little drone, and the drone actually lives inside of Res. So, of course, we all know that robots don't have human feelings. They're machines made to complete a specific task. But Res is different. And this story is based on fact and fiction, and it's very heartwarming and well written. And I really did enjoy it, and I did give it 4 stars. So it's a good one if you have a middle grader in your life. And even as an adult, I enjoyed reading all about Res and his story. And this is my quote. Resilience, you don't understand that human feelings are dangerous. They make humans make poor decisions, you see? Humans have attachments. They care about each other and about other things here on Earth. And because of their attachments and their feelings, they do things that are dangerous. We were built to avoid the problems of humans. We were built to make good decisions. It's a good one. And the last physical book that I have, which happens to be my favorite book that I read for the month of March. And it was also a book of the month that I picked. I chose 2 of them this month. And that book is Wayward by Amelia Hart. Just look at that cover, y'all. That cover is just gorgeous. All the flowers and the nature. And I fell in love with the cover. Love it. So let's talk about my 5-star read for March. Wayward is a little bit of historical fiction, tongue-tied, a little bit of historical fiction tied in with realism and magic and mystery. Man, all the things I love in one book. It was a debut novel. This is her first book. This writer, Amelia Hart, this is her first book. It did not read like a debut novel to me. The writing was so good, I felt like I was living each character's lives with them. And the description of the atmosphere and the environment, I could feel it. I could just feel it. It was so real to me. It's about 3 women in 3 timelines and 3 stories. So there's a lot to keep up with. So you have to kind of read it a little bit slower to keep up with everything that's going on. And we come to find out that these 3 women and their 3 stories in 3 different timelines are actually all connected to each other. First, we have Kate. Kate is living in 2019. And she is trying to flee her tormented life. That's Kate. Then we have Atha. And Atha lives in 1619. And she is on trial for her life. So she is trying to get out of being put to death. And then we have Violet in 1942. And Violet is trying to have her own life. She wants her own life. She is being controlled by someone, and she has had enough and wants her own life. So all three of these women are strong, they're resilient, and they are all trying to better themselves and get away from their current situation. I'm not going to say much more about the book because I really want everyone to read it because it was so good and it was 5 stars for me. And I actually have a quote from this one. This is a pretty powerful quote, I think. The connections between and among women are the most feared, the most problematic, and the most potentially transforming force on the planet. I believe that. I believe that when a group of women get together, they set their mind on something that they're going to do or achieve, that women together are stronger than they are by themselves. Whereas most men feel like, hey, I got this, I can handle it. Women, you know, you can feel that way as a woman, but if you have other women that are with you, then I think that your success rate goes up a lot higher. So those are the physical books that I read. And in the next video, I will show you hold all these, the books I read that were ebooks. So stay tuned for the next video. Thanks for watching. If you're new here, welcome. Please subscribe to my channel. Please share it with your friends. Of course, you know I'm trying to get more viewers, and it's slowly creeping up, and I appreciate that. So everybody, grab a book, read a good one, let me know your thoughts, and I'll see you next time on Crafty Book Nerd.